Hello, my name is Alfredo Faccipieri and I hate to speak English. And this is my first video for diamond steel because I'm going to show you how I work with RWL34. This is a piece of steel coming from the package of RWL34 Club. I make kitchen knives, and I'm going to make this knife in the next few videos, to show you how I take the blade to mirror finish. I hope these videos help you, and if you have any question, don't worry, send a message to me in Instagram or Facebook and I try to answer to you. See you.
Okay, let's go and see what is my process for mirror polishing a blade. For sure, it is not the only method to reach a mirror finish, and it probably won't be the best, but I can guarantee you that if you follow these instructions and these steps, you will get a mirror polished blade with a very good finish. It seems to be complicated and long, but actually it is not. Let's give a look to the materials. First, the stones. I use these water-based stones. As you can imagine, there are various types and various grits. I basically use and recommend you use this one, which is somewhere between this very hard one and this much softer one, and so it wears out sooner, but it also removes scratches much faster. That is why I don't use soft type. In fact, I don't use these stones by hand except in some areas of the knife, like the plunge line near the ricasso. I use the stones with a multi-tool. It's actually an oscillating multi-tool. It is cheap. It works doing this type of movement. The movement is very short, about 1 or 2 millimeters, and very fast. This movement is sufficient for removing scratches without damaging the surface. This is a simple battery-operated multi-tool that is very lightweight. How do I do it? I take a small piece of stone, in this case, for example, a 600 grit. I split it with mosaic pliers and I glue it with cyanoacrylate on these blades, which are the classic multi-tool blades. I glue it directly on the multi-tool blade or using this holder. In this case, this is a 3D printed holder. In my opinion, this is a very valid tool because its blade in harmonic steel allows me to give the right pressure to the movement and to the stone. Pneumatic files movement is not so good, especially for large blades. They don't guarantee the same pressure and their control is more problematic. Even if you use pneumatic files, try this and tell me what you think. Sandpaper. I can assure you that there are sandpapers that will change your life. I don't want to advertise, but this one here you may recognize is a perfect sandpaper for our purpose, for our materials and for our steel, especially for RWL34, which is a steel that lends itself well to machining anyway. This kind of paper truly changes your life. Diamond, actually diamond compounds. After trying so many different types, found these. They are quite cheap compounds. They come from Ukraine and they are of a very good quality. There are 4 types. Diamond compounds differ according to the amount of abrasive contained in the paste and the shape of the abrasive. That is, the diamond abrasive inside the compound could be in the form of spheres, drops, or in the form of stars. Obviously, the greater the amount of abrasive within the paste and the star shape ensure much greater speed and aggressiveness than other diamond pastes. In this case, this one here is a medium content abrasive and has a star shape. Then maybe we can talk about diamond pastes more widely. Usually compounds with less abrasive are suitable for using with electric or pen pneumatic tools. For 9 microns to 3 microns, I use high content compound and with star-shaped diamond parts. About this diamond paste. This is a 1.0 that I don't actually use often, as I will show you here, except in very rare cases and except in certain steels. With RWL34 there is no need to go that low. 1.0 is the size in micron, so it means that there are diamond grains in here of the size between 1 and 0 micron basically. I obviously don't use the diamond paste with my hands, but I use them with these little pads that attach to a regular rotary multi-tool like a Dremel might be. These are cotton pads that have a slightly flexible rubber backing and allow me to clean the blade toward the end of my process without going and creating hallucinating scratches basically. Machine buffing. Actually, I do not use it to remove scratches, as I will explain later. I use it only to highlight any scratches from previous grits that did not come off during the operation. Finally, there is the grinder. Actually, at first indeed there is the grinder. I use the grinder to shape the blade and give it the correct geometry. In the legend in this diagram is a drawing of this knife representing the direction of the scratches, that is, how I need to use the various abrasives and the scratches direction I want to obtain. So the first step, which is not part actually of the polishing process for me, is that of grinding the knife. I use this progression. I use 36, 60 and 100 grit ceramic belt, and I will have vertical scratches. So I will hold the knife with the grinder spinning this way, while holding the knife like this. Then I move on to another type of belt, which is a Cubitron from 3M with grits 180, 240 and 400. Here I stop with the sander, partly because I'm not able to go to higher grits, partly because I don't need it substantially. At this point my blade will have a surface that will actually have scratches mixed in. It will have scratches from the 400 grit for sure, but it will probably have scratches from the 240 and 180 grit as well, because I have not been able to remove them all previously. But it is not a problem, because the first pass of the next part is just necessary to have all the scratches in the blade of the same grit and directed in the same direction. I then switch to the 320 stones, and using them with the oscillating tool I go to generate a whole series of horizontal scratches in the length of the blade. Next I switch to sandpaper. I don't use sandpaper with the fingers. I'm going to create scratches along the length of the blade, but I'm not going to use it by hand, but I'm going to use it with a stiff wooden pad like this. Let's be careful when we go to use sandpaper, because you might make a mistake. If this was the section of the surface of my blade and this is a scratch, if I go to use sandpaper in this way, I'm not going to do anything but go to get scratch of this kind. I'm not going to remove a scratch, I'm simply going to smooth out the corners, and when I go to see a mirror polished blade with this kind of surface, I'm going to see what is a kind of orange peel effect that I don't like. Polishing the surface of your blade with a swab in this way causes us to remove actually all this material. It is the proper way to do. We're going to finally get a completely planar blade, and that's what we have to do. So to recap, I pass the 320 and I do the scratches lengthwise. Always with 320, I'm going to simply create some scratches in other directions. I need these because when I do the next step, this will help me a lot. I'm going to repeat them for 400 grit, for 600 grit, 800 and 900 grit. So 400 stone, paper 400, paper 400 and so on. These scratches in the oblique direction will allow me to see in this pass that I have removed all the scratches of the previous grit. This is a procedure that really takes very few seconds. I can tell you from my personal experience that using the multi-tool and this little machine, this pass will exhaust it in 10 minutes. At higher grits it will be faster. For a 25 centimeters long knife, all this pass takes me in total about 20 minutes, not more per side. Next, I go to the polishing machine. I use a rag disc, so a very soft disc, because again, I don't need this step to remove scratches. I just need it to make the surface slightly shiny so that I can more quickly identify scratches from previous grits. Remember to use soft and not abrasive compound to do this step. And pay attention because buffing machine is very dangerous. This step too, as you can see, takes very short time indeed. I just give it a wipe, 20 seconds, no need to be there that long. And be sure not to use very aggressive abrasive pastes. You really only need a super soft polishing compound. Just and exclusively to polish the surface a little bit and to bring out scratches from previous grits. After that there is a pass, also quite fast, with much finer abrasive papers. As you can see, I use the 1000, 1500, 2000 and 2500. And again, I use the 45-degree scratch technique to allow me to get a good look if I remove all the scratches the next time. The idea is that if at 1500 I see more scratches in the oblique direction, it means that I have not removed the 1000 scratches. I subsequently switch to diamond pastes. For a mirror polish of a very good level on RWL34, and I remind you that RWL34 is a steel that makes our lives so much easier, I use these three steps: 9 microns, 6 microns, 3 microns. Probably our compound will have 10 to 14, 7 to 11 or 6 to 3 as the unit of measurement, not a single number as the scale of measurement. There are several units of measure for abrasive, so check your and try to convert it in microns. What do I use them with? I use them with this and go to perform this kind of circular movement. Beware that using this you could heat up the blade, and you could heat it up a lot to the point of ruining the heat treatment. That, I repeat, in my opinion is the most important thing of a knife. So if you see that you are heating up the blade, no fear. A little spray with some water with dish detergent is great to be able to cool the blade and continue. Don't worry if you use the abrasive compound with some water, because there is no problem at all. When you have gotten to this to 3 microns and you have done all the steps perfectly, you are sure that with a very quick pass to the rag wheel, you are going to get a very good mirror finish. I repeat, pay attention to buffing machine. Unfortunately, being a knife, we have to repeat all these steps on the other side too. But when we have finished also the other side, it will be time to have a well-deserved fresh beer. I hope this could help. Goodbye guys, and see you in the next video for Damasteel RWL34 Club.
After the grinder, there are scratches from 400, 240 and 180 grid. In the first step of my polishing process, I use a 320 stone attached to an oscillating multi-tool. This multi-tool has a movement of 1.7 degrees with a speed from 5,000 to 18,000 oscillation per minute. I use it with a speed of about 8,000 oscillation per minute. The stones used in this video are Gesswein de Maker. They are water-based stones. I keep the surface of the blade wet with water. Say hello to Sasso. After the 320 stone, it's time to use a 320 sandpaper. I use Indasa Rinowet red line sandpapers. Use sandpaper with a stiff pad to guarantee surface flatness. Sandpaper step is really fast. It will take just 1 or 2 minutes. Repeat these steps for 400, 600, 800, and 900 grit. See you in the next RWL34 Club video.
When I work with this, I imagine the blade is divided into many sections. And I work one section at a time. I work in this way. I first pass a section. When I have to move on to the next section, I don't just work on the next one, but I try to work also in a little part of the previous section. That way the result will be more homogeneous. Before continuing here, you are a little tip. To check the presence of scratches of previous grits, I use a little LED light. And with the workshop lights off, or at least not with too much light, I go and put the flashlight in that way. Stay in front of the blade and keep the flashlight horizontal. If there are scratches left from previous grits, they should be immediately visible since the previous pass is oblique. I follow this 3 steps: stone, sandpaper lengthwise, sandpaper in diagonal way. I repeat these steps for 320, 400, 600, 800, and 900 grit. The idea is that if I see diagonal scratches in a grit, it means I didn't remove scratches from previous step. After 900, the surface has to be similar to this. A flat surface with well visible horizontal and diagonal scratches. If you see deeper scratches, it's time to repeat 1 or more previous steps. Now it's time to use only sandpaper. Lengthwise, and diagonal. Repeat for 1000, 1500, 2000, and 2500. With RWL34, there is no need to reach higher grit. Alternate lengthwise and diagonal. Now it is the diamond compounds time. About 9 microns. About 6 microns. And 3 microns. Spray some water mixed with detergent for dishes or wax for polishing. This avoids the surface to become too hot. Put a little bit of compound on the blade surface. And make circular movements with the rotary tool. Repeat the step 3 times, 1 for each grain dimension. Change the pad for every step. This is a very important step. Take your time. Make random circular movement. Keep the pressure constant and let the compound do work. Spray more water or wax if needed. If everything is okay, mirror finish starts to be visible. Finally, clean the blade with a soft compound. I use Yosso paste. Your mirror finish should be ready.